If you're anybody like me, you're just absolutely disgusted by the whole Epstein thing, and you just want to see people arrested. You want to see people go to jail. You want to see people prosecuted, and you want to see all of this come to an end. And you want to see all the guilty people just go away and get locked behind bars and just have the end of the story there. But the unfortunate thing with this is that's not going to be possible. We have to truly decipher the entirety of the Epstein files and truly understand is this where it all is? And for example, like the government, they say that there might be around 6 million files or documents or whatever for the Epstein, which we don't even know what a file means. Like, is one email a file? Is one photo a file? Is documents linked a file? Like, nobody even knows what a file is. So when they say that there's, 6 million files, we don't even know what that means. And with how Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, how they've handled the Epstein files has been ridiculous. And as a conservative, it just pisses me off. It's just like how they said like a lot of the flight lists and all this other stuff, and they don't exist, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it does. We all know it exists. And then they try to cover some of the stuff up, and it's like, maybe they have good intentions, but their good intentions behind of whatever they're trying to do isn't going to get people arrested, and it isn't going to solve the problem. And as a conservative, I'm disappointed with how Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, how they've handled the files. But getting back to my point, weaving back, like the government says that they have 6 million files, whatever the heck that means. Well, how do we know we can trust the government? I mean, look how embedded our government officials and everybody seems to be with people like Jeffrey Epstein. How can we trust the government to tell us how many files there are? How can we trust the government saying, "Oh, there's 6 million files," and we go, "Oh, really? Okay." How do we believe that? How do we know there's not 10 million files and that they're covering the rest of it up? And it's just like there's we can only work with what we have. And I know it's unfortunate, and I know a lot of us are just like, release the files, but it's not that easy. And some of the files will never be released, and some of the files can't be released. Like a lot of files won't be released because of victim protection limits and victim protection disclosures. And I know that there's been some problems with some names getting out, and the way that a lot of the files were disclosed, it's not right. The government really should have handled it better. I'm not crediting anybody with this at all, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm crediting any administration or any person or the federal government for how they did it. But we gotta get to the bottom of this. And we can't look at the Epstein files and go, wow, there's nothing I can do about it, because there is. And if you look at the Epstein files and you hear about all the child trafficking and the sex rings and everything else that's happened, and you go, I'm not going to worry about it. You might as well be in the Epstein files. You might as well be one of those guilty people. If children can be violated and you not care. And this really goes beyond just the children. This is governmental corruption at its deepest core. Like, if half of the Epstein files are true, our government is corrupted. Our justice departments are corrupted. Our courts are corrupted. Everything's corrupted. It's just like we have to be the ones to say this is not right. We need to get to the bottom of it. And I think really the best way to get to the bottom of it is to read what we have. Go through the Epstein files with what we have. And I know that, there's 3 million documents, whatever that is. I know it's not going to be easy to go through a lot of that stuff. But it's like, I think one way that we can help kind of like shuffle a lot of it together is listening to podcasts like this. If you hear keywords, or if you go to another podcast, or you go on X, or you go on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or wherever you go, and you're scrolling looking for information on Epstein, you're watching people talk about Epstein, you're listening to podcasts like me on Epstein, whatever it may be, and you hear keywords like Pizzagate, which that's a whole nother video. Let me tell you, I'm going to do a Pizzagate video. That stuff is crazy. The red shoes, everything. It's crazy world there. Whole nother just realm of craziness. But like when you hear these keywords in certain videos, like if you hear Pizzagate in one video, I'm going to use that as an example. If you hear Pizzagate in my video, then you go on Instagram and you're scrolling and you hear somebody talk about Epstein, then all of a sudden you hear, red shoes and Pizzagate or something like that. Then you can take that, go to the justicedepartment.com or .gov or whatever it is, wherever the Epstein files are, whatever that link is. Go to the search bar and type in the keywords. Or if you see a screenshot on Facebook of an Epstein file where somebody's talking about something, but you're not sure if it's true or not, zoom in, like look for one sentence that's visible, that's not blurry, that you can read, and just enter that sentence into the search bar, and you're going to find that file. And I think that another way to find a lot of the information is kind of do what I do. Use AI. Use AI to look for certain keywords and try to put these puzzle pieces together. Because the way that the Justice Department gave this to us is ridiculous. It's stupid. And they won't even let you download some of it. Like it's so dumb. It's frustrating. It's just, but they really should have made this easier, but it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. But just using AI, like I've learned a lot by trying to insert certain documents and then using AI overview to sort things by their order or sort things by its relationship. If there is a relationship between, say, document A and document G, and trying to find the common relations of a lot of this stuff. And really, it's not as hard as it looks. Like, I mean, you really just screenshot things, place in AI, and see what you can find. And we have to be the ones to start figuring this out ourselves. Because if half of what the Epstein files allegedly say, if even a quarter of it's true, do you think that we can rely on our Justice Department? Do you think we can rely on our courts and our investigators and everybody else? Do you think we can rely on them solely to get to the bottom of it? Like a lot of this stuff that is in the Epstein files has been going on for like the last 10 years. By the time that our investigators and Justice Department and these people are going to be dead. It's not going to matter. These people are going to be dead. It's going to be 50 years from now. We can't allow that. We cannot allow trafficking and all this other crap to keep going on because it's still happening. I mean, obviously, it might not be happening necessarily with Epstein, which that's a whole topic of whether he's dead or not. But that's a whole other thing. Which, yeah, that's just a whole other topic. I'm not even going to get into whether Epstein's dead or not. But it's like a lot of this is still happening. You think that there's no child trafficking in the United States? You're crazy. We're one of the hot spots in the world. We're one of the number one places in the world for sex trafficking and child trafficking. And you might go, no, that's crazy. That's just blabber. Look it up. It's disgusting. It really is disgusting. Just the things that happen. And it's not even just Epstein. It's people in our system, our politicians, billionaires, celebrities. And we need to be looking through the Epstein files, not just looking at like names. And when I say that, there's a lot of things that are going to be in the Epstein files, complete garbage. Complete garbage. Because everything that's in the Epstein files is everything that anybody's ever mentioned about Epstein. And like I could call, say the FBI hotline, and I could be like, hey, listen, I think that, let's find a politician, for example. Let's say Bill Clinton, just for example, because he's in the files. Let's just say, oh, I heard that Bill Clinton was, at Epstein's Island last night, whatever, something like that, or give some detail about somebody doing something with Epstein. Well, that stuff gets logged, a note gets made, and it gets filed away. And then when they release the files, that also gets released. And some of it is just made up stuff. And I'm not saying that anything against Bill Clinton's made up. I'm not getting into specifics with stuff, but I'm saying that there's going to be a lot of stuff that is in the Epstein files, which is just complete trash. And it's going to be a lot of people trying to cover things up too, where they're making false reports to try to get certain people in trouble when nothing ever happened. And there's a lot of celebrities that are going to be in the Epstein files that have nothing to do with Epstein. And there's going to be a lot of celebrities that might have heard of Epstein, or they might have had even a picture with Epstein, but they didn't know what was going on. And I'm not saying that everybody was like that, because there are some people who claim, oh, I didn't know what was going on with Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't know he was a creep and all this other stuff. Yeah, they did. You're damn right they did. So we really have to get to the bottom of who's really guilty or not. And if you really want the government to do something about the Epstein files, we need to pressure the media. We need to pressure interviews. We need to get CNN, NBC, Fox News, all these media organizations, even if it's podcasters, whatever, if it's going on a podcast, we need them to interview everybody who's associated with the Epstein files. We need, let's say CNN, I'm going to use them as an example. We need them to question Bill Gates, Bill Clinton. We need them to pull people from the Epstein files, whoever it may be. And I'm not trying to single out certain people, but we just need our media to go and look into the files, find these celebrities that have been mentioned more than one time and seem like they might know something, and just put them on air and be like, what do you know? Answer certain questions. And I think that getting people on air, getting people on the media spotlight and making them talk, I think that that's going to go a lot farther than just yelling and screaming, release the files. Where are the files? Because when we say release the files, what does that even mean? What files? We don't even know what exists. Like, we don't even know what's out there. And we have so much information now, we don't even know what to do with it. Like, what do we do with the files that we have? Like, we don't even know what half of this means. There's so many files that they just released. Like, it's going to take us forever to read through half of this stuff and to get to the bottom of half these pictures and what half of this even means. But it's crazy. We're definitely going to have to get to the bottom of it, and we have to find the systemic rot in our system and the people who are truly guilty, politicians, billionaires, whoever it may be. We need to get to the bottom of it. And we have to be the ones to decide that we're not going to be the ones to put up with it. Because if we continue to kick the can down the road and we let these generations, my generation and younger, grow up in a world where this stuff is normal, that's not okay. You know, I'm 20 years old. I don't want people my age and younger, I don't want them just growing up in the world where, yeah, we live in a corrupt system. You know, there's a lot of this trafficking stuff going on, but it's whatever. You know, it's just the way that it is. We cannot allow that to be a normal thing, because that cannot be a normal thing. We cannot allow evilness and just this demonic system to become the norm. And people need to be prosecuted, people need to go to jail, and people need to pay for what they did. And a lot of the victims need to see that. And we as Americans need to see that. And apparently, with what's going on with foreign governments, the world needs to see it. So that's my spear for right now. I'm going to release more stuff. And if I come out with anything crazy, I'm going to do that. And also, I mentioned I might do a Pizzagate video, so I'll do that as well. But until then, thank you and God bless.